Okay, we're back. I made the saxophone solid, which mostly looks pretty good to me. What happened, which I'm not really sure why it does this. You can see the polygons. You couldn't see it before until after I made it solid. So I don't know if that's something that I could correct in another software. Um, Honestly, it doesn't matter to me at this point. If it was important, yeah, I would probably work to see if I could fix that. If I couldn't, I might go try to find a saxophone somewhere else. But this was a found object, and I'm working with it as you would in real life. If you went to the thrift store, you might see something that's almost what you want, but not quite what you want. And so I'm going to treat that in this way. One thing we lost is there were, the valve coverings, I don't know what those are really called. Um, they were here, but we lost them in the process. Again, I think that those forms are kind of cool, so I'm not going to worry about it too much, but we lost that in the process, which I don't really understand. Let's look over here. Um, this is Mesh Lab, and you can see that it's a different material. They're there, but it's a different material, so I don't know what happened exactly. You can figure that stuff out, but right now I don't really care. So, okay, we have a saxophone. Um, and let me orient this in a way that makes sense to me. Uh, Go to transform, do that. I might have to change, there we go, do that. All right, accept. Let's change the background color um, to something kind of medium, maybe. That's a little weird. All right, that's weird too. Jeez. All right, I don't know what I'm doing. Um, it's pretty colorful, isn't it? Okay. The reason I do that is because we could see certain things better as we're working. The black background, it makes it hard to see certain things as we're working. So we have that. Let's import our other models. Append. We're going to append. I like that dinosaur model. Let's get that back. Sometimes Meshmixer takes a while. This is taking exceptionally long. Okay. Let's see. I always see these things and I'm like, that's a pretty cool composition. Um, I'm never, I'm always amazed because in real life, if you had a saxophone and a dinosaur, you couldn't do this, right? You couldn't intersect them like that. Yeah, you could with a lot of work, but effortlessly you can do that. And on the software, which I think is amazing, and we could print it out that way. So I think these are things that are worth paying attention to. Let's bring that pelvis back in. Um, the more objects you add, the less that you have a hold of the narrative. Right now, a saxophone and a dinosaur, you can relate them in a way. It's still predominantly, it looks like a workable saxophone in real life. And you can tell there's not meant to be a narrative there. it's a little easier to understand what you're looking at in a way. But the more stuff you add to it, the more surreal it becomes or abstract. Um, I guess we could have enlarged that. So for me, it's like cooking. Um, you can't just get every ingredient and put it together and expect it to work. You might be able to put a lot of ingredients in something, but they have to be somewhat compatible. Um, or keep it simple. You know, a lot of things that meals that we eat have maybe only three elements to it, right? If you're making an egg, you might only add salt and pepper to it. Um, so I think it's a little bit like that. You can't just keep adding all kinds of stuff, but we're going to do that anyway. We're going to add all kinds of stuff. We're going to see if we can make it work. And then if there's something in it that doesn't work, we'll edit it out. So, like that to me is very interesting. That constellation or whatever, that Cassiopeia, whatever that is, that's a pretty cool looking thing that ties all these weird objects together. So the work is being done for me. I don't even have to move these things around. So far, so good, right? Um, we had a stupid Scooby-Doo. We have a, where's the Venus de Milo? Right here. It was a decent Venus de Milo sculpture. That's bizarre. So far, yeah, I can't complain about that. I might prefer that to be vertical with the saxophone, maybe. Um, yeah, that's weird enough, isn't it? So we'll keep that there. Um, what else did we have? We had the brain, the veins in the brain. Where was that? Right here, venography. That might be interesting. Whoa, there you go. That's interesting, isn't it? Hmm. I mean, that might be perfect location, but let's try something. Uh, kind of like a dome. It's all enclosed in the brain as a dome. All right. What else did we find? Uh, we have a Donald Duck. We have a German house. I wasn't too happy with that. Scooby-Doo. Um, Scooby-Doo, I'd put that in. Okay, to me it's between Donald Duck and Scooby-Doo. Donald Duck is such an icon that it seems less of a statement piece, or if its statement is about Americana. Scooby-Doo seems like it could be about other things. So let's see what this is gonna be like. I don't see it so far. Here we go. Oh, that's bizarre, isn't it? Look at that. So, wow. Okay, so we lost our Venus de Milo, so let's see if we can find it again. How about, could do one of two things. We can turn it sideways. So that it's still visible. Question is, okay, let's have him come down a little bit. Yeah. Okay, let's bring the pelvis back into place. So if we want to do that, pelvis, we go to this. Oh, I gotta accept that movement. Okay, so I've just highlighted over here in the object browser, the pelvis. Sometimes it's the only way you can find it because you look in there, you can't see it to select it, but I've selected it here. So I'm gonna go to transform, I'm gonna move it around. Where's a decent place to put that? Maybe on the ground plane somewhere. Let's tilt it. There we go. It's a nice looking pelvis. I mean, I like the way that looks. Where do we want it? We want it to be visible. Yeah, we don't need to see the bottom of the Venus de Milo. The pelvis, that's not bad because it's not too obvious. The thing that's getting lost is the saxophone. And that might not be too bad because you could see it here very clearly. If you go to the side, you could see it. And you know, usually these things, this is not the way I normally make my work. I usually have a specific, I search for specific objects to make specific type of compositions. But this is a different kind of a piece, and I'm enjoying what has turned out so far. It's working for me. So we could see what we could do with I'm gonna accept the pelvis like that. I don't mind it like that. The dinosaur is interesting. It's there. It's not too much. I mean, from the side view, it definitely shows up. Let's take a look, see if the saxophone needs to be more prominent. I don't think so, but let's find out. That's not too bad, is it? I liked it before, but maybe I like it like this too. Well, wait. I'm gonna cancel because I might like it the way it was. I think larger is probably a good idea for it. Let's go back. The reason I rejected it for this scale before is it came outside the brain. And I don't know that I liked that too much. I could probably live with it though. The question is, Maybe we move it back here a little bit. So it's not coming out of the front of the Venus de Milo. Uh, hmm. Do we come out a little bit, peek out of the, so we can see the bell, if that's what it's called. Probably scale it down a little bit so it's not, yeah. Bring it down into the base a little bit. It doesn't have to come all the way down, just a little bit. And maybe from the profile, see it just come out a little bit more. I think probably that works for me. So you want to accept that. I accidentally touched something over here, so it's taking a little, there we go. All right, so well, let's go into the this and see if there's anything that we need to do with that. And again, like I say, I'm just picking the way they came into the program. Usually I do a little more manipulation than that. Let's see. Probably move it back into Donald a little bit. Yeah, I would like it to obscure a lot more of Donald, actually. But I'm not sure how much I wanted to. Well, see, we've lost your saxophone, but that's okay. You know, maybe that's what needed to happen. I don't know. I do like what's going on with Donald a little bit better. Maybe I could scale it down a little bit. What this form is acting like is a unifying form. It's random. It's supposed to be some kind of constellation. It says supernova remnant. I don't know what that means. You could research it, probably have more information on the model. Whatever it is, it seems to be like a great element for this composition. So we're just lucky to have it. I think I want that up a little bit more. Maybe come down a little bit so that her breast is visible. I mean, you don't want to obscure a thing like the breast of the Venus de Milo. That's a big part of its charm, right? Is she's half nude. So it's a characteristic that you probably want to have in there somehow. But then we've lost a little bit of the, yeah, there we go. Obscure Donald. He's got that arm peeking through. So that looks pretty good to me. We'll accept that. I'm waiting for it to accept it. The next thing that we would do is we can add a base to it. Let's try something first. Let's click on let's do this. All right. There's the ghost of we don't want that. I see what we're doing. All right. Okay. All right, so we could also experiment with materials if we wanted to. So I explore different materials just for the heck of it. So far, I'm not seeing anything I like too much. That comes close because you could see the light and the light on it. You could see everything that's in there a lot easier. So I could live with that. Does the background color match, or is it? Does it work with it? I don't know. Maybe. Probably try a different background color to see what we get. You press the space bar, and then you pick out a color. So anyway, I'll just go back to the original, and then let's change that color. Let's go with white. Wow, that's pretty stark. Okay. We want to add a base.